Penny Hardaway did what? Welcome back, Jersey Sports Nation fans, and I appreciate all the outlaws out there. Definitely, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell so you can see when my videos are coming out. I wanted to touch on this video I saw on ESPN with Penny Hardaway going after the media, and then Stephen A. Smith doing what he do on his show to get ratings. I'm gonna play both clips of the interview, then I'll give you my 2 cents. Check this out.
I can say to this media, because this media gets kind of up sometimes when it comes to me. We don't have our full roster. Y'all know we don't have our full roster. Stop asking me stupid questions about if I feel like I can do something. If I had my roster like they did, then I feel like I can do whatever I want to do. I'm coaching really hard. My boys are playing really hard. I'm not embarrassed about nothing. We have 4 freshmen starting. Y'all need to act like it. Act like we got 17 to 18 and 19-year-olds out here trying to learn how to play against 22, 23, and 24-year-old guys. Come on, man. Stop disrespecting me, bro. Like, don't do that. I work too hard. I work way too hard for that. Y'all write all these articles about me, and all I do is work. We got young kids on the floor. They got young kids on the floor.
Let me say this to Penny Hardaway. I am a fan. I want everybody to know this. I'm a fan of Penny Hardaway. He's a great dude. And I think he's doing a hell of a job at Memphis. First 3 years there, he's won 20 games. 20, 21, 22 games. First 3 years. They struggling as of recently because of the reasons that he said. Penny Hardaway, I believe, is a damn good coach who's only going to get better and better. And we know he's a hell of a recruiter. And Memphis should be lucky to have him. Having said all of that, let me say this to you, Penny. That does you no good, bro. Don't do that. Yeah, the media and, they might ask you questions that you don't like. They might write things about you you don't appreciate or whatever. You've been around a long time. You played in the NBA for 15 years. You ain't new to this, bro. You in the movies, the movie Blue Chips with Shaq and the crew. I like that movie, and Nick Nolte and all of them. Damn it, you was in the movies for crying out loud. You played in the NBA for 15 years, and now you're a leader of young men. Unfortunately, unfairly, you cannot be a black man in that position and lose your cool the way that you did, and that works to your benefit, bro. There's too much you got to give those kids. There's too much you got to give college basketball. There's too much you have to give society as a whole, considering the influence that you're going to have on young men, to let these folks get to you and lose your cool like that. I'm sure every question ain't idiotic. I'm sure every article isn't excoriating you. You got some supporters out there, because it's impossible, because anybody that knows you should support you. I support you. Penny Hardaway, I just want you to keep your cool. Remember, my brother, it's about the marathon, not the sprint. Sure, they're going to try to break you. Some people, not all, some of them, whoever they are. That ain't new to you, bro. You've been here before. You can handle it. Just be cool and do what you're doing. That's all I want to say.
So I have a lot to unpack in these 2 interviews. I'm gonna touch on Stephen A. last, but I'm gonna talk about Penny Hardaway. But first, I want to talk about coaches in history. Now, coaches always been in a place where they would go off on media, go off on coaches, other coaches, rival coaches, go off on their players. You had people who choke their players, and you wonder why would parents bring their kids to these institutions where they're mistreating these students. You had Mike Ditka, who went after media, and they call him a legend. They give him one of the highest prestigious awards, which was the Hall of Fame. And I never got a chance to watch his basketball. I never got a chance to watch Mike Ditka play football because it was before my time, but I did watch him coach, and he only was successful with the Bears, which is still a success. He had one of the best teams in the league, and I think it was 1985. And he moved on, tried to coach prior to that, and after that, and he did not have success. But he's considered a legend, even though he went off on the media many of times. And right now, the media controls everything. I always say it, there's 6 companies, media companies that control 90% of the media. So you have to worship, and I use that term loosely, you have to worship these guys because they're not going to give you any credit. They won't put you in the Hall of Fame because most media vote for you to get in the Hall of Fame, into the All-Star games a lot of times. So they run it. And I always tell people it's the owners that run the media. The owners. Anytime you hire a sports agent or you hire a supervisor, any of those positions, you're hiring them so they can be the bad guy and you can pretend that you're the good guy. That's why they hire these positions. And the media is reading off a script a lot of times. You have some journalists, but they can't, if they're working for a company, they can't put out the stuff that they want to put out. They got to put out what the owners are saying, the producers are saying. So they're reading off a script. But there's a lot of white media who allow the white coaches to say what they want. You know, you have Bill Belichick screaming at refs and not talking to the media at all. He don't talk to the media. Where any other person who don't talk to the media, they usually get fined. Or if you say the wrong thing, they get fined by the owner. That should let you know the owners is running the media. You have people like Greg Popovich who disrespects the media, but he's considered this great coach. But you have black players like Marshawn Lynch who didn't want to talk to the media, and he would say anything to them and he would get fined. So just pay attention to that. Bruce Arians recently, he was labeled the good guy, and when we talk about Antonio Brown. Now a lot of people have their views on Antonio Brown, saying he's put this on himself, and that's true. But you can't just ignore what Bruce Arians have done this year. He went off on Antonio Brown on the sideline. When he left, what did he do? He basically swung on a player and hit a player in the head, and no one says anything about it. Now, put respect on Penny Hardaway's name and his career. Penny Hardaway has been in the media since he became pro in 1993. He is arguably one of the best players in the league for that brief period of time before he got hurt. He came out of Memphis, Tennessee, which was hard, and he dominated in high school. Just a quiet guy, a real respectful guy. College, he dominated. He went to Memphis University. He went to University of Memphis, where he is coaching today. He put Memphis on the map back in 1990 to 1992. Gets robbed when he was in his hometown and gets shot in his foot in 1990, 1991, and his career was in jeopardy, but he came back, he bounced back and went strong. In college, dominated. And then that summer, he got picked to play with the USA basketball developmental team that scrimmaged the 1992 Olympic team, the Dream Team, if you will. And this is the only team that beat the Dream Team that had Michael Jordan on it, Scottie Pippen, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, David Robinson. I could keep going. Arguably the best team, and his team beat them. They had Chris Webber, Bobby Hurley, Jamal Mashburn, Rodney Rogers, Eric Montross, Grant Hill, and Allen Houston, and they're the only team that beat him. So you got to put respect on his name. And then he goes to the NBA. He goes to the NBA, and he got drafted to the Golden State Warriors, and then he ended up getting traded for Chris Webber, where he went to the Orlando Magic with Shaquille O'Neal. And he's the only team, the last team that actually beat the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, where they beat the great Michael Jordan, which don't get a lot of credit. And he ended up getting hurt. And what all this to say is that for the people who don't know him, and maybe you're too young to know that he was a star. He was a quiet guy within the media. He was very respectful. Where Nike put some money behind him, and then they end up having the campaign where you had the puppet, which was Little Penny, and it was played by Chris Rock. So that's all I want to say. He never been that guy to go off on the media, even though he never gets his credit because, he probably feels like he should be in the Hall of Fame at least, and he had an injury, so he had to read all these articles all these years. It's kind of like with Kwame Brown, and you're going to snap at one point when you have a body of work and you're working so hard, and the media is trying to discredit you. So that leads me to now where he's coaching the University of Memphis team. And you have to put credit on his name because this is how good of a guy he is. He started coaching a middle school team, the team that he went to. His best friend was coaching that team. And he was having cancer, so he wanted Tim Hardaway to help with the team, and he ended up taking over for him, and he dominated, finishing the year 28-3. I believe they got a state title that year, and he continued to coach. So then in 2018, he gets the coaching job for Memphis. He's doing a fantastic job. He took over for Tubby Smith, and the last three seasons, he got over 20 wins. He haven't made the tournament yet, but he won over 20 games, which is a huge, huge deal. So I get it. And what I don't want to happen is most people label African Americans as angry when they speak out, but when a Caucasian speaks out, he's a good coach. It's passion when it's with them. It's passion, but when African Americans do it, it is anger. And this is how the media portray people like that. And it's frustrating. That's why Kwame Brown comes out and talk about it all the time, because he dealt with it since he came into the league. You get pulled so many directions. You're never really happy. And it's supposed to be a dream job, and you're never really happy because you're always getting pulled so many directions, and someone else is telling you how you should be, how you should feel, how you should act. He's a passionate guy, and he should be able to be passionate when he's on that podium. So, even LeBron James, everybody wants him to be something that, you never could be. You only could be yourself. And it gets very frustrating when you're trying to be somebody else for so many reasons. But anyway, now it leads me to talk about Stephen A. Smith. Now, I used to be a fan of his, but I realized that he will cut anybody's throat to get to the top. That's how shady this man is. And I watched it. I watched his career. 2010, I think, he started his career going to ESPN, and he was a failed basketball player, tried to play college ball and didn't work. And so he got into journalism. he got a lot of help from Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson put him on the map when it comes to journalists, which is fine. But then ESPN ended up getting him a show, and then the show tanked. Nobody wanted to watch you. And then he gets on ESPN First Take with Skip Bayless, and this guy starts feeling himself. And this is what the downfall for me with him. He started feeling himself, and then he went to the company, asked for more money, and they said, "Well, guess what? You know I don't need you," and they got rid of him. And at this point, he's like, "Dad, what did I have? I'm done. I don't have any money. I'm living off my savings. I'm back with my mama." And then he's trying to get jobs, and I think he was working for CNN at one point or something like that, or MSNBC. He didn't like the direction his life was going, and he pretty much begged ESPN for his job back. He said, "Please, please, sir, I will do whatever you want." This is the beginning of the sellout. This is when it started. The beginning of him selling his soul, when he wanted that money, and he said, "I will do anything you ask me to do." And so here we have it. He gets neutered when he talked about Ray Rice situation, when he tried to defend Ray Rice, and they suspended him. And like I told you before, companies are paying you to put out their message, not yours. You have no say so. You just got to read on a prompter. Look at actors. Actors are, a lot of them are not really bright when you get to know them, but they can read though. They're really great readers, and they read that script and they sell the fact that they're this other person. But when you hear them talk on a podcast, you realize how unintelligent they are. And that goes for journalists, because a lot of them were writing papers. They're writing the papers, and that news industry is done. So now they trying to work in these companies where they're getting big money to talk about people. And truth be told, these companies, what they do is they hire a black man to talk about another black man because they can't do it. So like I said, they hire people to do their dirty work. So if they want to talk about a female, they hire a female to do it. Or they have two females arguing in the platform, or they'll have two black males arguing in the platform, and then they'll have a person like Skip Bayless up there just smiling like, "Oh, this is good for clickbait." And that's what Stephen A is. He's clickbait, and he's doing a good job of it. He's selling everybody out because he wants that money. That's why he's selling people out when it comes to the juice, if you will, with the mandate. We call it the juice. What he's pushing there. You know, when he's talking about Kyrie Irving and all the players who don't want to take the juice. He's a company man, and they're paying him very well. And that's the problem. If he wanted to talk to Penny Hardaway, what he should have done is reached out to him personally and said what you had to say. You didn't have to use that platform to talk about him on the show and try to act like you care. Don't do that. Reach out to him and you say what you need to say, and I'm pretty sure he will listen to you. You're respected in the industry because a lot of these young players watched SportsCenter when they were growing up, and now they see you because you've been in the game for a while. But you're a sellout, and I don't appreciate you coming out talking about these players, what they need to do, like you're big uncle or something, right? You're just teaching people how to sell out, and that's just my take on it. Tell me what you think about this situation with Penny Hardaway and Stephen A. Smith, and I'll see you on the next video.